Good evening, everyone. So I hope for the coming up the last ones. Let's try to concentrate here. Let's try to focus on this work that's going to be presenting here tonight. So I ask you for the ones that feel comfortable to close your eyes and just do a quick prayer, and we can start our work for this house tonight. I wanted to start to thank you for again, to have the ability to come to this house, to learn things that would help us to grow as a human and to grow through our spiritual. Let's try to eliminate anything that's coming from the outside world so we can get all the information necessary that's being presented to help us to grow, to evolve each day. Let's thank you for all the spirits in here present, the ones that are incarnated and incarnated, to our protectors for the house and for God Jesus Christ, to elevate our coming speaker, to help us as guiding for another lesson. And we can leave here tonight a little better, a little bit more open for the studies that's coming in. With that, I'll ask permission to start the work for tonight. So be it. So tonight we're going to have Steve with the 5 mistakes of public speakers. And I need to pay attention because I need to start doing that. Steve, coming up.
Okay, this is number 1.
Jump.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So my name is Steve, and I'm here tonight to talk about 5 mistakes public speakers make. All right? So welcome, everybody. Let me ask you guys something. Can you hear me? I don't know if I'm coming out of the microphone too well. Okay, good. All right. It sounds quiet to me in here. Okay. I'm going to try to talk loud then. So, yeah. So who here has ever given a public speech? 5 people. In public? A public college? Or? Okay. So, yeah. So a few of us. Did you raise your hand?
Yes.
So you've done it before?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Let me make a... Slowly. Okay. So how did speaking in public make you feel? Nervous? Panic attack? Okay. Imagine how I feel right now. So, good. So did anybody feel confident about it, or you felt not too confident?
I feel confident before, and then when I went, I was like completely out the door.
Good. That's good. Yeah, you know, it turns out they said about 74% of Americans, I don't know if that includes all of us here, but we say 74% of Americans are extremely, have anxiety about public speaking. And it's like one of the most common fears that people have. So I thought maybe I could talk about it a little bit. So I was trying to come up with an idea of what to speak about tonight. And it kind of occurred to me, I started coming to this center in 2015, late 2015. So I've been coming here for about 6 years. So I'm into my above 6 years now. And in 2016, in October 2016, I gave my first lecture here. And I came here and I talked about No Solar, the book by Andre Luis. Written by Chico Javier, and I'm sorry, Chico Javier held the pen, and and Andre Luis, the spirit, gave him the words. And I started thinking about like why, you know, what was it that made me want to get up here and start speaking to people, you know, and I don't know if any of you guys feel the same way, because when I first heard about Broward Spiritist Society, it was because of actually somebody who came to my job. It was a sales rep that came to my job and heard that I was going to Brazil and was like, oh, have you heard of Spiritism? I was like, yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know what it is. And she was like, oh, you should come check out the center. And actually my job is like about a block away from here. So it's like too much of a coincidence that I was like, okay, when I get back from Brazil, I'm gonna come check it out, you know. And I came here and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I don't know what it was that made me, like, from the day I came through the door of the center to about a year later that I'm up here and I'm talking about the stuff, you know. And I'm like, but I don't know I don't think I'm the only one. I think a lot of people feel the same motivation. Like, I don't know about you guys, but it's like whenever I go someplace like that, I always want to kind of participate. I want to sort of join in. And it's funny because I have this habit of joining places and then I become like sort of important to the place, and then I get mad because I have too much responsibility and then I want to leave. And I told myself, like, I'm not going to do that with this place. I'm not going to let that happen again. But here we are.
You are.
Yeah. So, so if anybody's watching on online, and we're talking about common mistakes that people make when they're public speaking, I want you to count how many mistakes I make and write it in the comments section. And I'm not going to read it, but at least it keeps you guys engaged. So yeah. So let's get into it. So that's one thing I wrote. I said, we're talking about how to be a good public speaker. If I'm going to talk about it, it's a little bit of a stretch, but you know, let's see where we go with this. Glossophobia. It's not the fear of shiny things. So glossophobia is the fear of public speaking, and that's why I said it was a study by the National Institute of Mental Health. Said that the 74% of people suffer from speech anxiety. So I sort of narrowed it down to about 5-ish things that are like the most common mistakes that public speakers make. And I'm going to try to relate it to Spiritism a little bit. Let's see how we go. So the number one thing, what do you guys think is the number one thing that's bad for a public speaker?
Not be prepared.
How did you know that? Okay. Can you see this? Okay. Number one thing is failure to prepare is preparing to fail, right? So that's one of the most common public speaking mistakes, failing to prepare. So preparation involves a lot of things. It can be organizing your thoughts so that they're in sort of like go from point A to point B and go in a good succession. It can involve talking to yourself in the mirror. Some people record themselves. You know, now that we have the technology, you can just record yourself and play it back immediately. It's a good way to practice. But that's the number one reason. So it's funny because when I was looking this up, they said winging it is not a professional approach to public speaking. I was like, ouch, that hurts. You know, but they say do yourself a favor and always commit to preparing for your presentations. So one of the things is to know your audience and who you're speaking to, and what do they, I don't want to say what do they want to hear, but what's going to help keep them engaged. So if I stand up here and just keep talking about myself, which is what I usually do, it's probably not going to be as interesting for other people. So they say actually the best way to keep people engaged is to talk about them. So because I always said, I was at a wedding one time and I just sort of let myself go on the dance floor and I was like going nuts. And the photographer was a friend of mine. He came up to me and said, you know, you're my favorite subject. I said, you know, that's funny because I'm my favorite subject too. and everybody is that way. Like most people are their favorite subject. You know, and they say that when you meet people for the first time, if you're in a place like this and somebody new walks in through the door and they tell you their name, the best thing to do is actually like repeat their name back to them. Like they say, oh, hi, I'm Jim. Say, oh, hi, Jim. You know, and that helps you remember their name. And people like hearing their name. You know, it's a funny thing. Like if there's a a list of people who helped and contributed to the center, people will go and look to see their name on the list, in the credits. They always do. So we want to know our audience because we want to give a message that's tailored for our audience. We don't want to stand up here and then be like preaching out and just hearing silence, right? This, silence is golden, they say, and duct tape is silver, but it's not when you're giving a talk. You don't really want to just like be able to hear a pin drop. So we want to be prepared, know our audience, and tailor the message to our audience. So I shouldn't stand up here and tell you like what I want to hear, but try to tell you guys something that's going to be interesting, engaging for you guys. And I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do it. So number 2, distracting speech. So things that are distracting in speech, is like filler words. Things like I added a few things like, I know a guy always used to say like, hey, say, like after every little breath, you say, oh, So filler words are a big distraction. So somebody's standing up here and saying, for those of us that speak Portuguese, I hear a lot of nah. I don't know if you guys know that one. Nah. Filler words, nah. Okay. Another distracting speech is talking too fast. I heard a guy come in here one time and give an hour-long palestra in 30 minutes. And and that was like, whoa. And so when somebody's talking too fast and not giving a break and not taking a breath and not giving you time to think about what they're saying and they're just pounding you with words and words and words, it's too much, right? We need to have a little bit of room to breathe. And that's actually the answer to talking too fast. It's taking a breath. And part of this too is being prepared. If you actually practice the talk before you get up here or anywhere, practicing first is actually one of the ways to take care of all this. So you practice and you probably won't be so nervous and then won't talk quite so fast. Take a little breath. I still talk too fast. It's because I'm from New York, but Another one, talking too softly. So we don't have this problem tonight, but sometimes like the microphone is like up a little too loud and then the speaker hears themselves in the microphone. So then they start talking quieter because they can hear their voice too loud and quieter and quieter and quieter. And then when they want to make a point, like the point that they're trying to make, like you have to be a lip reader to figure it out. And actually talking too softly can be the thing to really make people sort of disengage and tune out of your lecture. And also another thing would be being low energy. So it's funny, I was talking to somebody recently and they were saying like, oh man, like I'm listening to this talk and the guy's voice is so calm and it's so like monotone and it's just really putting me to sleep. Especially if you're already tired before you get here, like some of us that go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. So you kind of have to pump up the energy a little bit, and that's funny because they say one thing is speaking monotonously. So if you're just too monotone, always on the same note all the time. I have a favorite comedian, Stephen Wright, and he has a monotonous voice, and he would say things like, I still haven't adjusted to daylight savings time. So it's something that you got to sort of pump up the energy a little bit when you're talking. So I have a lot of Brazilian friends, so I just try to mimic them, and I talk with my hands a lot when I'm talking. I say, hey, that's what I fake it till I make it. So one other thing that's under this distracting speech is making apologies. So like if I was to get up here and say, hey guys, thanks for coming, but I wasn't even supposed to be here today, so I'm gonna try to do the best I can, and just bear with me, okay? And that really kind of makes people be like, why did I even come here today? So we should never ever say that. So if you heard me making any apologies before I got here, then like and comment, subscribe, and put the comments below on the video. But that's one thing. That's one thing that really it takes people out of your talk. All right, so let's go on. Distracting mannerisms. So there's a lot of things, just like the body language we use, can actually take people out of a talk. So I've caught myself doing this before, like really like I'm driving the podium or something, you know, like just kind of anchoring myself in here. So that's one, is like gripping the podium. I did a video for my job last week. I do little videos sometimes, and so I'm over there and I'm making a video, and so I'm standing there at my job and I have the camera on and the lights and everything, and then I had one of those moments where I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands, you know, and like, so I was standing there like this, and I watched the video back. I'm like, oh, I look like ridiculous, you know. So it's something like, and that's something that practice, like if, when you see yourself in a recording. And I was like, what do confident people do? So I started doing this in the video, with the steepling with the hands. And like it's kind of like a cliche, but it looks so much better than like this. Like, I don't know, like what I was doing. Yeah, I'm like a, I don't know. So body language is a big deal when you're giving a speech. They say like clenching your hands or wringing your hands or pacing back and forth. I mean, I think some of this stuff too is like, there's a certain level that's kind of okay, like a motivational speaker can kind of go back and forth and kind of get everybody motivated. But it's like, if I'm just kind of like walking around like whatever and pacing back and forth, it could be really distracting for the audience. Gripping the podium. And they say like adjusting the clothing too much, or playing with your hair, or twirling your hair. It's all things that would take people out of a talk. And yeah. So yeah, that was another one. Thanks for counting. What am I up to now? Do we have a total? 3? Okay. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I plan on making a whole lot more. So let's keep going. So another one. Misusing visual aids. So I saw this TED Talk a long time ago called Death by PowerPoint. And I just thought it was amazing, because I've been coming here for a few years, and this guy talked about all this PowerPoint stuff, and I was like, that, and I was like, okay, I've seen all this before. So I do recommend check out his TED Talk. But you know, a lot of times we do these talks and we prepare these PowerPoints, and we think like, oh, I have to make a really good PowerPoint. I got to make it good. I got to put all the information in it, and I got to make it perfect. And it's like, I think, this is my opinion, I think I am way more entertaining than the PowerPoint. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I hope so. but really, like, and if you're giving the talk, you know, you should be focusing on yourself and preparing and the information, and you know, that's there as a reference, as a tool, but it's not really the talk. It's not in the slides. You know, it should be coming from the speaker. So we can use videos, charts, and graphs to engage the audience, but not to like melt their brains. So one of the things we need to avoid, they call it data dumping. So if we just stand here and spit out facts, like random facts, you know, like I think the one about 74% of Americans are afraid to give speeches, I think that was a good fact that had to do with the thing. But if I start talking about all kinds of other stuff and just giving you numbers and data, that like just kind of starts to make your head spin. You know, I thought about something. There's a French word called Misusing, which means lost in the abyss. So sometimes they make a movie where in the movie they're making a movie. And I thought, well, I'm giving a speech about giving speeches. It's kind of the same thing, right? So that would be like data dumping. Like I'm just telling you stuff that has nothing to do with really what we're talking about. So we got to keep it, you know, keep the data like clear and to the point, but not just like unload it on everybody. Another one they came up with is reading slides. And I was like, man, I don't know if you've seen this. But, you know, there's some people that will just like come up here and put a book up on the slide, and then they'll actually just kind of come over here and start reading it. And it's like, the thing is that the TED Talk, this guy was talking about death by PowerPoint. He says like never put more than 7 words on a slide. You know, so when I see a slide with like paragraphs on it and headings and and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, okay, like you went overboard. So, and that's really, I mean, I don't think you have to be like study presentations or anything to know like that's not really the best practice when giving a talk. But I mean, everybody always says like, oh man, that guy just reads the slides, you know? And so we try not to do that. I'm guilty of it too. Like sometimes I've done it before. I'm like, well, this is really important. But, that's one thing we don't want to do is just make a slide and then just stand here and read a whole paragraph off a slide. Another problem is poor design with a PowerPoint. So sometimes, I don't know like what happens, but people make PowerPoints and they'll have like, you know, dark words on a dark background and you come up here and you can't even see it, you know, or something that's like really high contrast where it just like grabs your eyes. So we really want to be careful. Sometimes it's just best to use the templates that are in the program and not try to make our own stuff. But we want to make sure it's not like something that's like an eyesore. And the last part of this too is like I said, that we need to focus on ourselves more than the slideshow. Because what if we come here and, you know, the bulb blows on the projector, you know, or the computer goes down, and like, what do we do? Like say like, oh, sorry guys, my whole talk was in the thing, and you know, let's just come back next week. You know, so we want to be prepared enough so that if the technology breaks down, that we still have something we can talk about. All right, so don't get too caught up on the visual aids. And timing is everything. So I feel a little funny talking about this at this center, but it is important to be punctual and on time. And if you say the talk is going to be 45 minutes or an hour, or it's going to start at this time and end at this time, it's important to respect your audience enough to maintain that. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything else about that at this place. Yeah, I'm a sheep among the wolves here. So, you know, there's another thing. I try to keep it down to 5 because actually I made the flyer for this talk before I really did the research. So I just said, okay, there's 5 points. But one thing they said was, don't joke around too much. But I don't know. Yeah, when I was a kid, other kids were watching cartoons, and I was watching Comedy Central. I was watching stand-up comedians from the age of 10, and I think I just sort of like, it sort of got into me. And sometimes I have to like remind myself, like, we're not here to do comedy. And most people, after my talks, they'd say, like, you know, you're really not funny, so just stop it. But I have this habit, sometimes, like, I'd be talking to a group of people, and I'd be saying something really like that I think is serious, and everybody starts laughing, you know, and I'm like, okay, like I was being serious, so I don't know. So I had this idea to come up here and talk about this, but what do you guys think? Does this topic have anything to do with Spiritism? Anything at all? Do you think?
Prepare to do the lectures, if we have to do the study, we learn more.
What if you're not doing a lecture about Spiritism? What if you're doing a video about a truck that is for sale, like I was doing?
Like the one you did.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever, you're trying to present something to get attention, or at least to just open up their mind for something, I don't know, to learn deep. I don't know. It depends. It's hard.
So yeah, I was just trying to get ideas.
Oh.
So from what you just heard, from these ideas of mistakes people make when they're doing public speeches, what do you think it would take for us to be a better public speaker? That would help. Next time. If you know what you're talking about, it's easier to talk about it. Knowledge is good. So that's part of the preparation, right? Yeah. Being prepared to talk. Like, oh, I know what I'm talking about. So,
sometimes you brought it up to a study or something, and if you don't know at least like some of the better information on that, and somebody just threw a question, it could completely black you off for the rest of the presentation.
Yeah, I don't like questions.
I
Yeah, it's not good.
I know
I can prepare for a lot of things, but I can't prepare for questions. It take me in like, oh, I have no idea. Got to talk to the president of the place about that one. But I mean, what else is there? I mean, because we talk about, I mean, what it really takes to be a better public speaker is practice, right? Yeah.
It's true.
So yeah, and practice. And what is Spiritism as a philosophy, is something we practice, right? Yeah. I'm a magician. I just pulled that one out. So, I thought of something too. I said, this is something I used to, again. I used to teach Tai Chi classes before I came here. And I would say things, I would actually watch too many Kung Fu movies because of it. and I started talking like I would eat a lot of fortune cookies and repeat them to people, the stuff I learned in fortune. But let me ask you guys, what's your greatest opponent? Like if you're coming up here to speak or doing anything in life, like when you're at work, your greatest opponent, it's the one in the mirror, right? Because when you're coming here to speak, or I thought of this too. I might not look like it, but I've actually run a couple half marathons before. I let myself go during the pandemic, but I was there doing a half marathon, and I'm standing there in the crowd before it starts because they line up, and they sort of line you up based on the time, like how long do you think it's going to take you to run the half marathon? And I had done it before, and I came in around like 2 hours. It's not going to impress anybody here, but it's like about a 2 hour or so half marathon. And so some people can do it like much faster than that, and some people are much slower. But you try to get in your group so that when it starts, that you're running at the same pace as the people around you. And apparently people are not very honest with themselves because I'm like, oh, I'll just stand a little bit, and I'm passing all kinds of people and stuff, and it's like I'm not even that good at it. But what I realize is I'm standing there in this huge group of people, and we're running this race, and I realize even though I'm surrounded by like hundreds of people, I still feel like I'm running alone because it's really just me and the clock. And really, I'm not trying to beat any of these people here. I mean, especially the way that I run. I'm not like a natural gifted runner or anything. I was just kind of like happened to be in the right place at the right time. But it's really like the competition is really me versus myself, and every day trying to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. And I had the GPS thing, and I would like run and check out my times and stuff, and try to get like a little bit better and a little bit better and try to improve. And it's really the same thing as practicing whatever we're doing. If we're practicing, for our career, trying to identify our weaknesses and look for ways that we can improve. So one of the things that helps us to improve is awareness. So that's why it would help to record yourself or live stream it on YouTube and you watch it again later. So that way you can see it again, and you can see like, oh, look all these mistakes I made. It's hard. It's tough to watch yourself doing this. Like, I can't imagine how you guys feel right now, but for me to go back and watch this again and be like, oh man, like, do I really sound like that? Am I really, do I have to move that way? Do I have to do this? It's tough, but it's necessary for us to become aware. We have to become aware of our flaws and our weaknesses so that we have something that we can work on. Another important aspect of public speaking is patience. So when I was saying it's not a good idea to talk too fast, and really part of that is being patient and just taking the moment, take a deep breath, pace yourself and allow the time. And sometimes when you're speaking, I'm not really good at this, but I've heard people that were good where they could like say something like really important and then they just stop and it kind of like sinks in for a second, it really soaks in. And I'm like, that's so good. Like, I wish I could do that. But we have to be patient and give it its time. Let the time take its time. And another important part with public speaking is the humility, because we have to sort of like come down if we think we're too high, or if we really, sometimes people are kind of low, and we have to come up and realize, like, okay, I can do this. You know, I had a friend that said, like, sometimes some people need to come down off the mountain and some people need to come up out of the gutter, and then there's other people that have to do both. You know, so, and that's really, like, humility is just finding our place and realizing that I'm not better than you and you're not better than me. We're all human beings, and part of that too is trying to tailor the message to the audience that's here. And it's not necessarily that I have to tell you what you want to hear, but I have to be aware of the audience and not just like talk about stuff that I want to talk about that I find interesting, but try to make it interesting for everybody. And I mean, there's other things too, but I thought of these things because these are the things we always talk about in Spiritism, is having the awareness, you know, becoming aware of things in our lives that we can work on, things that we have weaknesses about, you know, and a lot of times, you know, I don't know how those things pop up. I just know, like, at the end of the day, sometimes if I have something that's like in my mind I can't stop thinking about, like feeling like guilty or having like a resentment or something, then I know, like, there's something I can work on. There's a weakness, you know. And even if I don't if I don't like it or don't want to admit it, then that's something. Because I don't know, for me, like, those things just stick around with me. Because, you know, I have a job, I work with my hands, and I have a lot of time to think, because I just do like some like repetitive type of labor all the time. So if somebody says something to me that I don't like, I'll be at work the next day, and there it is, like, just playing in my head, like, over and over again, like, you should have done this, you could have done better, you know, you could. And it's like, it just won't leave me alone. So there's that, like, awareness, because that stuff can go on and on and on, but it's like, if I go, okay, what are you going to do with that? You know, where are you going to take that? How are we going to do it different next time? And what can we do to change this? You know, and having the patience, you know, I think they say patience is the mother of all virtues, you know, and I thought that was interesting when I heard it. And I said, well, why is it the mother? Why can't it be the father? And they say that pride is the father of all vices. So of course the father's the bad one and the mother's the good one, but that's okay. So patience is the mother of all virtues, and really it's just like taking the time to allow things to happen when they're supposed to happen, you know. And sometimes I've had ideas, like things that I really wanted to come up here and talk about, like I really want to tell these people this or tell them that, and it's really not about like what I want to talk about. It's really about like what I'm supposed to talk about. And sometimes it just comes up that, you know, the ideas will just sort of pop up at the right time in the right place if we're patient and we allow things to happen the way they're supposed to happen. So Alan Kardec told us that pride and selfishness are our two greatest inherent enemies. You know, and this is true in our lives. Pride and selfishness are the things that will really keep us from living happy, fulfilling lives. And I've thought about it. I said, this is really the same things that will keep us from being a good public speaker. Is if I'm too proud, too selfish, it's really all in the same thing. I'll be pretty miserable if I'm up here just talking about. And that was sort of my experience, is that I came here and I talked about the book No Solar, and a lot of people from the center, actually this room was like totally full the night I talked about that, because people that knew me here from when I would volunteer in the cantina and stuff, they came to, they were like, what's this gringo gonna say? You know, and I talked about it, and they liked what I had to say, and they all like cheered for me, and I felt like so overwhelmed with all the love and support I got from people at the center. But then I came back and started doing more talks and other talks, and I had that sort of feeling like, oh, I'm gonna lay it down again, I'm gonna drop a bomb on these people, and it didn't go that well. You know, I bombed. Like, as they say, comedians would say, like, I bombed. I had a bad night, you know, and I saw a lady here one time, like nodding off. I was talking about economics and spirituality, and I was like, I guess that was a mistake. You know? I thought it was fascinating. If you guys want to talk about it, we talk about it after this. It's amazing, but it was not a good topic for a lecture. So what happened was that, you know, I went from being somewhat like humble about my talk to being a little more like arrogant and prideful about it, and I immediately noticed like that's no good. It's not working out, you know. I can't tell you where I'm at now. I have to find out afterwards. But like we said that, you know, I am my greatest opponent. You know, I'm my greatest obstacle. I'm the thing holding me back from all the happiness and joy that I could be feeling. On the flip side of that, I am also my greatest asset. You know, I'm like my secret weapon. I can against all these things, you know, and we have to remember that like you are your greatest asset, that you have the power to change anything in your life that's not working for you. If you're unhappy, if you're not feeling like, you know, like if you're hitting a wall, you have the power to either, you know, climb over that wall or turn around and find another way around it, you know. So never say never give up, you know. But I guess I just wanted to talk about this because, you know, I don't know about you guys, but it's like I said when I came here, and for some reason when I was sitting out in the crowd and I was like, I want to be the one speaking, I want to be the guy talking. Like, I don't know if you guys feel that way too, or if I'm just a weirdo as well. But I think a lot of people really would like to get up and talk, you know, and this is a great place. Broward Spiritist Society, it's a great place because they give people opportunity to have a voice and to share and to be a part of the center. You know, I've been to other centers where you kind of go in and you're an outsider and you just sort of feel like a visitor. And it's funny because this is the first center I came to, and I just sort of felt at home from the minute I got here. You know, and I hope everybody else feels that way too, like you're welcomed and you can be a part of it, and you can help out too. Like, we need plenty of help. That was really, for me, was how I felt like I became a member of the center. Was like I started working in the cantina, in the kitchen, and helping distribute food and stuff like that. And I got to know like just about everybody, because everybody likes to eat. And I didn't speak any Portuguese at all, but you know, I learned some words like frango and yeah, I learned all the foods, you know. so salgadinho, coxinha, pastel. I know all the good stuff. I can't make any of it, but I learned a little Portuguese. But being a part of the center, like, it was really, for me, was like helping out, getting involved. It made me feel a part of it, and so it was very like natural for me to come up here and start talking. You know, even though I'm not saying it was 100% natural. It was like my first talk. I had like a month to prepare, and I was like really going nuts. You know, and now they're just like. So what happened was about 2 years ago, right before the pandemic started, we had a guy here from Brazil, and he was talking to everybody. So he was doing consultations in there. So it was taking a lot longer than we wanted it to. So he came and he was doing one by one, 90 people, and we had the band come and play music at 7:30. We had a speaker from 8 to 9. Then the band played again from 9 to 9:30, and they were like, okay, we're out of songs. You know? So Yunara was like, Steve, go up there and what her instructions were, maintain a spiritual atmosphere in the center. So it's like, basically go talk to people and you have nothing like prepared at all. And that was the day I knew, like, I could probably get up here and talk about just about anything, because I was like, okay. At first I started trying to work the crowd a little bit. But then I started talking about some stuff from Spiritism, and it kind of had something to do with the event that was going on, and it all kind of made sense. And I was like, that was the day I was like, I think I could just talk about just about anything, and and make it work, you know? So I feel like all the reading and studying and all that stuff like helped me prepare for that. And, you know, like definitely not to brag or anything, not the best speaker here, but you know, I feel a whole lot more comfortable now. And it's been great having the opportunity to come up here and speak, like usually every month or 2 months or so, and get up here and talk. And I counted on my computer. I saved all my old talks, most of them, and I was like, this is my 30-second lecture. You know, I don't know if it's a lecture, but I was like, wow. But yeah. And I'm not going to point at anybody here, but I know some people who have told me that they would like to do this and are too afraid to do it. And you know, I don't know. I've always liked attention, so I guess I don't get it. But I would hope that everybody, for me, if I ever had something that I wanted to do, but I was too afraid to do it, I would always try to push myself. If I go, okay, the reason I'm not doing this is because I'm scared, and like that's not a good enough reason. You know, like we gotta do it. We gotta try it, even if it's a small baby step. You know, get up here and do the prayer before or after. You know, do something. Just try to like dip your toes in the water a little bit. Not talking about anybody specific, but it's been long enough. You gotta get up here. You gotta do it. So, thank you guys so much. One of the other things that they said was a mistake for a speaker is to end and say, "Hey, does anybody have any questions?" They said that's that's like dropping a bomb on the audience. So I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm not interested in questions. But thank you guys. Yeah. I guess, yeah. No questions. You can say something. Aye.
Don't cry.
That's coming from, yeah.
I know, that's the reason.
Aye.
He's the most test guy. Oh, yeah.
The jack of all trades.
Oh, there we go. You know the line.
My mind all the time.
There you go.
Right there. Right?
Well, you had me at hello. If you guys didn't know, I used to work with Ana Lucia in the cantina.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why. That's how you get on her good side. If you don't. And I recommend you stay on her good side if you can. So, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We'll talk later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Oh, what did you do, Steve? Just kidding. Thank you, Steve, so much for this. It's always good to get a different perspective. You're a great speaker. What are you talking about? Here, quickly, some announcements. So we're going to have our Christmas dinner on December 18th. Ana Lucia, do we have tickets? Not yet? Okay, so save the date, please. We want to see your beautiful faces here on the 18th. We're going to have a very short public speaking speaker here for half an hour, and then we will have the dinner. So we are having a raffle here on the 18th. So you come to the party, have dinner, and then you get out of here maybe with an iPhone 13 Pro and a kit Apple giveaway. And me too. Me too. I have very special numbers. I have some numbers between 1 and 15. So if you are interested, okay, let me know. Oh, it's $30 and it's going to be exciting. And a lot of people leaving for the last minute. So maybe the last minute, I don't have your lucky number. So there are a few people that are selling these tickets. Let me know if you're interested. Let us know. Ana Lucia also has them. So every Monday at 8 p.m. and Saturday 6:30 p.m. we have public meetings here with translation available. And spiritual treatment every Thursday. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's a 6-week program. And come earlier, like 10 minutes before 7 o'clock, and we can guide you and tell you how it works. But it's, of course, it's for everyone, and it's 7 p.m. every Thursday in Portuguese and English. And our yard sale, the next one is going to be December the 11th. It's always on the second Saturday of the month, and we need volunteers. There are many types of volunteering for this program. So sorting things out here the day before the Friday night, we need people. Also, bringing all the things out on Saturday morning. There is a beautiful group of people. They are so nice. They're truly angels, and they come together and to help us with the yard sale, which is a very important income here for the Broward Spiritist Society. Also, volunteers, when you donate something for us, and when you spread the word on your social media, inviting people to come. So it's a very happy day, and get involved. It's really nice. If you have any question, here are the numbers and information with Karen, Ana Lucia, and Jackie Casas. We also have a WhatsApp group, and they post all the items, the good items that we receive. So if you buy things, resell things, do this kind of things, it's very interesting. And every Wednesday, such as today, we have a meditation, Portuguese and English, and it's very nice. It's from 6:30 to 7. It's really, really nice. You don't have to be experienced in meditation. And on Saturday, we ask you to help us buying a meal every Saturday. It's a homemade meal, and it helps us a lot. It's like the most important source of income of the house. So those meals, they're prepared by someone, and it's a donation to the center, and they prepare homemade food, very nice, delicious, and they bring it here, and there are some volunteers that organize them, and we sell them. So help us buying a dinner with us every Saturday. And the magnetized water, don't forget to pick them up after the passes. And now I invite you for us to align ourselves again, just a few conscious breaths, so we can align ourselves to go to the passes. In the passes, it's very important that we are relaxed, we are not tense, and we are not thinking about, all the things. Afterwards, in the moment, just a few moments, few seconds that we are there in the passes, let's try to relax and help our nature to align our chakras with the help of the magnetizers, okay? So I invite you to close your eyes if you can. That would be great to close your eyes. When we close our eyes, we look within. I'd like to ask you to find your breath. Our breath is a very natural thing. We don't need to think about it. Just find your breath the way that you usually breathe. Nothing is special, which is already very special. To learn that we are here, we are in our body. Sometimes our emotions can go to the future or the past. Our thoughts also can go to the future or the past. But our body cannot. Our body is right here, right now. So let's just give let's see if you can show some gratitude and appreciation to your body. This wonderful, divine body we have. And now we are in contact through our electromagnetic field with each other. We are touching each other's electromagnetic field. Let's feel the peace within. Let's be grateful for this moment, giving ourselves some quality time for inner peace. Let's imagine there is a ball of light covering our entire body, giving us peace and protection. And this light is expanding, touching each other's light. And we become one big ball of light in this center, sending out our best vibrations to the world, to Pompano Beach, to Florida, to the country, to the waters of this country. Let's be grateful for the good spirits that are here with us, supporting us tonight. And when we go to the passage chamber, may we receive exactly what we're looking for. Let's open up ourselves, our hearts, and our minds for the new energy that we are bringing, that we are creating to ourselves tonight. And when we get out of here, may we feel wonderful, sharing our inner peace with others wherever we go. Thank you. So be it.